Hey fellas, how you doing? So yeah, episode 2 with the social anxiety videos. So now I'm going to talk about how social anxiety affected my relationships with women. Now, again, growing up, as I've said in the last series, it was very difficult socializing around my family, being comfortable, consistently comfortable. It was difficult meeting, if I made friends, going to meet their family, coming into their house. Difficult going on transport. Found it very difficult to be outside in public. So you're afraid everywhere. You're afraid to be by yourself because you get bad thoughts. You get depression. You get anxiety. You get panic attacks. You're afraid to go out into public in case you've got to speak to people. It's not comfortable. So you're in fear all the time. So I'm going to go straight into erectile dysfunction, because I know it's a common thing that many men struggle with. And again, I know that so many men are embarrassed about it. They're not going to talk about it. They're going to feel ashamed. They want to brag to their friends, but it's real. Many men have it, and I'm not going to call names out because many of my students have had it. I get people writing to me. I had it. Of course I had it. I had it all throughout my pickup career. I didn't have it with every single girl, but the majority of women I had to fight through it. I had to work through it the same way I had to work through my social anxiety. That's why I said I'm blessed, man. I'm incredibly brave. I don't know how I've done it looking back. And I'm going to go through the feelings. It's not comfortable to talk about it, and I'd rather do something a bit more positive. I'm going to do it because I'm going to beat this old shadow that's coming up, or this voice trying to stop me from putting this information out for whatever reason it's trying to do that. It's got nothing to do with me. And I'm going to beat it in one video, this stupid voice. I was terrified of being naked in front of a woman because I felt judged. I thought she's going to think my penis is small. I thought she's going to think my willy's too small. I thought she's going to think I look bad, my body's bad. I was petrified to be naked because my dad criticised me. You'd think, what's that got to do with women? It affects you. It affects you in intimacy. Now, of course, the reality is my wiener isn't small. It's not the biggest, but it's definitely not the smallest. Scientifically measured and proven. But I did feel that way. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to form right, and the biggest fear was you're not going to be able to get an erection. And guess what? Because it's psychological and the body follows the mind, as Freud would say, it happened a lot of the times. And it wasn't just, again, it's not just, oh, I'm afraid not to get an erection, it might not go up. It's actually the psychological, and it's the emotional trauma that you experience, the fight or flight. So you start basically, what happens when you get erectile dysfunction, you have a mini panic attack. Because you're actually, to cut all the BS, you're petrified of sex. Because there's an unconscious part of your mind that is afraid to be rejected, and it's performance anxiety. That's what social anxiety derives from. Same as in pickup, they call it approach anxiety. Yeah, that's an anxiety. But it all stems from social phobia, sexual phobia. And it's weird because, and I'm being straight, guys, and please don't think I'm being big-headed. I slept with a lot of women from the street, and you'd think for a guy that slept with a lot of women and was perceived as being confident that I would have overcome it. And it didn't get rid of it. It didn't get rid of it. It's probably something that I'm still going to have to occasionally work through in the future. I'm not going to know because I haven't had sex for a year now because of my own personal development, and that's why I feel great. That's another video. I'm going to talk about addictions. I'm going to talk about how powerful it is when we refrain from addictions and how much our social anxiety will decrease. So, do you know how I used to feel? I'd be feeling great with a woman and we'd be going back to her place or my place, and then all of a sudden, bang, a shadow, what you call it, a thought, a story would emerge. I'd be picturing, what if this happens, what if this? And then I'd literally start feeling the symptoms, sweaty hands, my heart would start beating, I would go monosyllabic, they call it. I couldn't start speaking. I don't know how most women didn't think I was weird. I was worrying, should I tell her, should I not? Panicking, and the inevitable happened. Many times I went through some horrendous, embarrassing moments where I couldn't get an erection, and the girl would be thinking, what's going on? And I'm trying to get up, it won't go up. And I developed some strategies to overcome it. I don't even like the word strategies, I don't know why I said that, it just slipped out, Freudian slip. I developed, well, it's quite simple. I found out that honesty was the best way, so I would call it out beforehand. But in a good context, I would just make a joke and say, listen, he might not go up. You're new, I get nervous when it's a new woman, you have to help me out. I just would be honest about it. And I used herbal Viagra. I'm not ashamed to admit it at all. There's too much, and that's the problem with social anxiety. There is so much shaming around it, no one talks about it. And if you don't talk about it and bring it out and practice basically facing it, it gets worse. And it's not just the fact that you can't connect with people, which is really painful. You suffer depression. And that's something that I don't hear many people talking. I don't think there's that many people in the world that are coaching on social anxiety. But people don't speak about the side effects, the after effects, what you go through, like how difficult life is, how bad life is. And like I said, some people end their own life, which is sad. Some people end up in a mental hospital. Some people remain socially recluse for the rest of their life. They never get a girlfriend, they never form relationships, and I can totally understand. I was very close to giving up, very close. At 25 years of age, I've done a video talking about this. I had suicidal thoughts. I got to a stage where I thought, I can't take this no more. I cannot handle this no more. I'm depressed. My inner monologue's running off. I just awful feelings of low self-esteem and just a voice blackmailing me all the time. So, it's no wonder that trauma from a kid affects your trust for people. And when you don't feel you can trust someone, whether it's a woman or a man, it does affect your relationships. Interestingly enough, I can't speak for everyone, and I know some of my students have told me about this. Once I would sleep with a girl the first time, I would never usually have problems with erectile dysfunction. So I suppose, to some extent, there is good reason why I suffered erectile dysfunction, and lots of men who do day game or pick up or go out and meet women do, because it isn't actually in the social norms to go out and meet a woman and to have sex with her that fast when you're doing it on the same day or even the second day or third day, and especially in the context of how I was doing it, being very direct. But I do think that the erectile dysfunction and the fear of not getting an erection performing definitely comes from social anxiety, because it was abnormal the amount of anxiety I was experiencing. But like I said, it didn't happen with every woman, and once I slept with a woman once, if we continue seeing each other, I would usually be alright. I never suffered, and if I did, I wouldn't even care. I'd tell everyone. I never suffered from premature ejaculation, and I never suffered from a continuous erectile dysfunction. I had performance anxiety, and I would have erectile dysfunction when it was the first time sleeping with a woman. And like I said, it's probably something that could potentially visit me in the future. And I really don't care. I'm really not bothered. I'll just tell the girl. The same way I'm not bothered if I ever get socially anxious at public speaking, I'll just talk about it and bring it out, and it just liberates you and gives you confidence. But most people who have got social anxiety, they feel psychologically that they can't tell no one. You can tell people. I'm telling the whole world. Everyone knows my story. I'm proud of it. Look at what I've achieved. And I've worked with, I'm not trying to sell in this videos. I'm making a point because it's important people know that it is possible. I've transformed loads of people. Look at people on the YouTube channel. I'm not going to go through all the names. And like I said, I'm not trying to sell programs in this video, but you need to know that you're not on your own. You can overcome it, but you have to want to do it. That's one thing about myself that I really respect, and I was a really brave, courageous man. I literally forced myself to confront it. It took me years. And I'm still working on stuff. Sometimes I get old shadows that visit me. And when I meet new people, especially if I meet new people and it's people that look, it's happening now. I'm getting anxious now. Especially if I meet people and they have not got the same interests as me. Because it's always quite easy teaching when I work with people, because people are on the same wavelength as me and I feel comfortable, I know how to help you. But when I'm meeting people, for example, that might be, just from people that are different to me, maybe we're just different interests, things can come up for me, but I'm lucky because I've developed the skills to manage it. And that's really what my teaching is about. The coping strategies, the honesty and exposure. You need to expose yourself to the feelings the same way you have to expose yourself to sexual fears. You have to put yourself in situations and gradually get better each time until eventually you no longer have the fears, or you've got the fears to a stage where you can manage the fears. And that's when you feel really good about meeting people, because you've got that self-confidence that you can manage it. And over time, you really realize that these shadows, these voices are not true. They're trying to trick you. And every time you meet people, you build relationships, you quieten down that voice. Hence your panic attacks will reduce, your anxieties. All of those phobias and fears will start reducing. So I'm quite excited to share this, and I want to give people a lot of hope that you can overcome it, but you have to put the effort in, and you have to practice. But I want to explain in some of the next videos, because I don't want to overwhelm you and confuse you, the practices that I did for myself personally, and stuff that works, no bullshit, no 25 steps, and what I've taught my guys to do, and what I'm going to continue to teach on the channel, and I'm going to be bringing out loads more, because there's so much information, I don't want to overwhelm you. But yeah, I've just wanted to explain to you in this video why you are suffering erectile dysfunction, maybe you're not aware of it, what you can do to overcome it. I don't recommend getting addicted to herbal Viagra. I took it on a few occasions, it gave me a massive headache, and I don't recommend it unless it's a last resort. Make sure it's from the right chemist, and make sure it's healthy, the stuff, you're not going to give yourself a heart attack. But it was all about what I teach, about the honesty, bringing it out. Another thing I'm going to talk about, which is coincides with erectile dysfunction, you're going to get a lot of erectile dysfunction if you're using pickup artistry. If you're not being yourself, and you're hiding, you're putting on an act, you're going to get found out in the bedroom. And that's kind of what happened to me at the start of my journey, because I was acting a bit. And I suppose, like I said, Johnny Berba wasn't my true self. But he was an archetype that I built up, and eventually I had to dissolve him. But there was elements of myself in him. But yeah, as I've admitted, I was unconsciously hiding all my fears and anxieties, and I was in a different place then. But it taught me so much. It taught me so much about fear in people. And I made my story beautiful, and that's what I really want to encourage people to do, is not to be ashamed and embarrassed, because there's so many people out there like you that have it, and you become a breath of fresh air when you talk about your fears and you help other people, because it makes people feel, I'm not the only one going through it, you know what I mean? It's not just me. And then a problem shared is a problem solved. And that's what social anxiety is like. The first step I'm going to give you now in this video, admit it and tell the world, tell someone. You don't have to go up to every person you meet and say, oh, I've got social anxiety, nice to meet you. But you can, if it gets on top, you can bring it out and say, I'm sorry, I'm a bit socially anxious, I'm shy, this is difficult, but I'm working on it. You turn a negative into a positive. You can do a video blog, you can write about it. I personally wouldn't recommend taking medication unless it's really serious, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified. But I am a doctor in teaching men how to overcome it with the process that I teach. So it's all about exposure, and this is obvious, but again, what we know is no good if we don't apply it. And that's why the whole thing's on my YouTube channel. Even my older videos that I'm not proud of all the old pickup ones, but the ones where I'm going out getting state complimenting people, saying hello, being genuine, this is the template. There's a template as to how I overcome that area of social anxiety, which was the talking part. But the counselling part, the healing bit, I had to do the other spiritual healing for that. And that's why people are saying, oh, you've gone so spiritual now, you're talking about God. Because that part massively helped me. And I'm a person who tests things and tries it. I'm not going to do something and it doesn't work and then just say, oh yeah, it's working. I have to put it to the test. And there was a lot of practices that I was promised on the internet and other people talked about and didn't work for me. They didn't work for me. And I found that in the end, you can't lie, because eventually you get found out. They're going to find out you can't keep lying in your relationships. And that's what I did for many years. I made it hard on myself, but I don't regret it, because it was my journey, it worked out in the end. So I'd say, you're not me, obviously, your journey is going to be different, but you can definitely use the principles that I use and that I teach. And I think it's just nice just to know that you're not on your own and you can overcome it. Don't let anyone say to you can't overcome it. I've read blogs that say you can't overcome it or you're always going to have it. That's rubbish. That's rubbish, because how confident I am now was not like this 5 years ago. I wasn't even like this 3 years ago, and I'm improving every single year of my confidence. I've done public speaking, I've become a teacher, I've run a business, I've had girlfriends, and it hasn't been easy for me. I'll be honest, teaching hasn't been either, but I've loved it. I found the joy, and the love and the joy is one of them. That's what really helps you to overcome it. You have to want it. You have to want it bad. Many people send me emails or write to me and have conversation with me. They complain about it, and I understand how it feels. I'm not having a go at you, but they don't do nothing about it. And I had to get to a stage where I was so depressed, I was so empty, I was so angry, I was so afraid, I couldn't take it no more. And I like that word. I like when people say, I can't take it no more, because that means you're going to take action. But you have to also be gentle. In the midst of what I'm saying, Sometimes people do give bad advice. They say just take action, and it isn't as easy as that. You need to do it at the right pace, at the right time, and you need the right help. You need to get the right support. And that's why I created a free social circle event in London to help men with social anxiety, to get them to practice being around people. Because being around people is terrifying when you have it. It's underrated, like I said. But guess what? Just like the social anxiety, your sexual anxiety will improve. It will decrease. You'll get more confident. I also want to let you know something. I found the truth. Every single human being on the earth has at some stage suffered social anxiety, or has felt anxious meeting a new person, or has felt uncomfortable. We are human beings in a body. So I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get like, almost like, oh, us people that have suffered social anxiety are a separate race, or we're weird, we're different. No, I've seen it. I've seen it in the best of people. I've noticed it in celebrities on TV that have done interviews. We're normal, we're human. I get nervous when I do new interviews. I do get nervous, but my confidence comes from the fact that I can manage it, and then I'm not nervous the whole time. So you're only nervous in short periods if you start working on your social anxiety, as opposed to if you don't work on it, you're going to be nervous all the time. You're going to absolutely hate social interaction. You're going to avoid it, even when you want to go to parties or go on a date. So social anxiety affects your relationships with women. It affects your dating life. Hence why Johnny Berba got into pickup, to overcome this monster. And I'm still on the path. And part of me teaching is a way of me standing up to this monster and going, I'm going to teach as many people as I can. I'm not going to have it. I'm not having some false fear bully me, get into my mind and tell me I can't trust people, and to tell you guys the same, because it isn't true. And I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about the spiritual aspect in another video, and I'm going to talk about how people form addictions who suffer from social anxiety, to run away from their anxiety, so they're dealing with it in the right way, and they basically lose their integrity. And I lost my integrity, and I became dishonest in my life because I was afraid. It's not because I was a dishonest person. It's not, my heart wasn't dishonest. I wanted to be honest, but I was afraid. And many people suffer in silence. So I hope you enjoying these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.